I am on the railroad, if you know what I mean. See? I guess it's what some call now the underground railroad, but it isn't a real railroad, and it isn't underground. But we must use the code in our language to make sure if anything overhears us that they want to hear names, you see? So that is why we call people conductors and stop rather than saying names and places. But if I can trust you, I can tell you a little more. Can I trust you? Okay then. Let me tell you quickly before I move on and find a safer place out of the open. After I made it to New Bedford, I was sent by the Johnsons, who are people of color like me, but who live free and risk it to harbor their sisters and brothers like me. They have family here in Fall River and Quaker friends here in Fall River, so they sent me here next. Then I will need to move on within a day, maybe even tonight. If passage is safe, unless the hounds are on my trail and looking for me in town right now. And in that case, I will have to hide here for a longer amount of time. I am thankful for those who have never met who take me into this voyage to freedom. But my mindset never lets me rest because at any turn I could be sent back into bondage. I wish I could stay here, but it is too dangerous because I know my master is putting a private bounty on my return. And my hope is that someday my family might get together and meet up under North Star in Canada. In New Bedford, I never met so many black free men like me. You see, I still don't feel free on account of this Fugitive Slave Act. This act offered a fee for federal officers who caught us, even though we were just trying to find freedom. You see, the Fugitive Slave Act has been around since 1793, but now that the government is offering slave catchers money, things are even more dangerous for us who are trying to escape away from slavery. I have heard that these are more than half dozen stops here in Fall River. Do you know how to find Nathaniel B. Borden and his wife Sarah in Fall River? Then from here, I am supposed to make it to the Valley Falls in Rhode Island. We are supposed to go tonight in the darkness of night, and in a closed carriage to find shelter in Sarah's sister Elizabeth Buffin chains and her husband. Thank God for those people who are not under the devil's spells of supporting slavery, then God willing to caught in Canada. I wish the word made sense, but some people who do good are still perfect. For example, I am going to stay with a family who makes their money off of mill using the cotton that my enslaved relatives are picking down south. But yet, they're putting out papers that they don't like slavery, which gets them in trouble with their own friends around the same issue slavery their friends disagree on. It doesn't make sense to me, but if they can lend a hand to me today, then I won't ask questions. I don't always understand the contradictions of how or why some of these white rich abolitionists care about some of us, people in bondage, enough to harbor us into their homes, while they also make us so much for money off and cotton that enslaved people pick up in the South. But I will leave it to God to figure that out of a need to hope that their religious convictions is helping some to escape stronger than my fear. People call the slave trade the business. Thank God for those who are willing to fight the so-called business, people like Frederick Douglass and Moses and main conductors of the Underground Railroad, Harriet Tubman and John Brown, who they hung up for just trying to set things right. Maybe he rests in peace. I hear that our Moses Harriet was hiding in New Bedford when John Brown and his sons took over the arsenal on Harper's Ferry in West Virginia. It is a shame that I have to leave the only land that I have known because of the sins of so many who do not enslave people, but many of the people more who stand by and go to the church and only pray that this cruelty ends. So goodbye to this land, and I suffered so much under these United States of slavery. I need to leave to get to Canada. Well, I have to go now. Now nowhere is safe for too long when you are trying to find freedom.